Advanced English Arabic Learning Phrasal Verbs, Session 01. We have to abide by what the court says. They had to account for all the money that had gone missing. My partner's been away for a fortnight, I am aching for her. The police were acting on a tip from an informer and caught the gang red-handed. The medicine only acts on infected tissue. They acted out the story on stage. Their anger is acted out in their antisocial behavior. My computer's acting up. The police were acting upon a tip-off. The enzyme acts upon certain proteins. I feel terrible, that food didn't agree with my stomach. You have to add the VAT onto the price they give. We added up the bill to check it was correct. I wonder how many people get ripped because they can't add up. She explained why the work wasn't ready, but her story doesn't add up. Many things in her story didn't add up. Trains delays are getting worse, and with the high fares, it all adds up to misery for the commuters. The total costs add up to several million euros. The magazine is aimed at teenagers. They're aiming at reducing costs by 10%. Her mother was shocked when she started answering her back. The government should be made to answer for their failure. I can answer for my partner because I know her position on this issue. You should allow for delays when planning a journey. The rules don't allow of any exceptions. The teacher tried to argue the girl down, but she couldn't. She argued him down 10%. They tried to argue down the proposal. If we can't argue our differences out, we'll have to take them to court. He's been angling for an invitation. Jenny rang earlier and asked after you. I have no idea, but I'll ask around at work and see if anyone can help. We asked them around for dinner. You're asking for trouble. I asked for the menu. John's at the door, ask him in. He wanted to ask her out but was too shy. They have asked us over for drinks on Friday. There are fine meals to be had if you ask around. They auctioned off their property as they were heavily in debt. The crowd backed away when the man pulled a knife. She refused to back down and was fired. He prefers to back his car into the garage. The police told the protesters to back off. She backed out of the agreement at the last minute. She backed the car out of its parking space. You should always back up important files and documents. The rest of the staff backed her up when she complained about working conditions. Tom backed up without looking and ran over his laptop. The government had to bail out the airline. The state will not bail out loss-making enterprises. The first priority is to bail out the boat with buckets. The boat was leaking, so they had to bail it out. She felt ready to bail out of the corporate rat race. The pilot bailed out when he saw that the engines had failed. I must bail my drunken brother out of jail. I'm so annoyed Lizzie bailed on the party tonight. I was late because he bailed me up on the phone and wouldn't shut up. He was bailed up by a couple of muggers as he came out of the bank. The new project has balled me up. He balled up his napkin when he had finished eating. He ballsed the presentation up. He's banging about in the kitchen. I can hear him banging around upstairs. He banged on for half an hour but no one was listening. He's always banging on about football. She banged the tune out on the piano. The judge banged him up for 8 years. He banged his car up last night. I'm banking on your help. I bargained her down to half what she originally wanted. I hadn't bargained for so many people coming. I hadn't bargained on him coming. He keeps barging in and asking stupid questions. They barged into my office without knocking. If you bash your monitor about like that, it won't last long. The burglars bashed the door in to enter the house, break in. I bashed the essay out the night before I had to hand it in. They bashed him up in the fight in the pub. I was taken aback when I saw him because he's lost all his hair. I was very taken with the performance, it was superb. She bawled me out for coming home drunk. She bawled Raj out for getting there late. He bawled out our names at the top of his voice. The police are after him because of the theft. The next bus should be along in the next quarter of an hour or so. She's not cut out for this kind of work. She was very cut up about losing. He's been down since his partner left him. After the argument, James is down on his boss. They are never in, I always get their answer phone. The application form must be in by 3 p.m. on Friday. The way he's behaving is just not on. This yogurt must be off, it smells foul. I'm off home, it's 5 o'clock. The show is on for the next 3 months. He is on antidepressants and has become very difficult to please. He is really on right now, 3 goals in 5 minutes. I couldn't understand what he was on about, it made no sense. He's being very careful because he thinks the police are onto him. She is out to get him sacked because she hates him. We're completely snowed under at work. She's not up yet. The company's profits are up by 15%. Time's up, please finish your drinks and leave. Are you up for the climb of Mt. Blanc? He's not up to the job, get someone else. What are those kids up to? He blacked out and collapsed on the floor. Everything blacked out when the power supply failed. She spotted him on the room and bore down on him. At a canter they bore down on the mass of men ahead. The nurse will tell you when to bear down. The enemy warship tried to bear down on our small airboat. The teachers bear down on English teaching. The courts must bear down on young criminals. The judge's character may well bear on the final decision. This assumption is not borne out by any evidence. Statistics bear out the government's positions on the issue. How are you bearing up under the strain? He's bearing up under the pressure, cope. Please bear with me a moment while I finish this email. The shooters blazed away at the pheasants. The sun was really beating down and we couldn't stay outdoors. I managed to beat him down to €50. The marathon runner barely beat out his rival at the tape. The mugger beat him up and stole his wallet. She's beavering away before her exams. I have to beaver away at it or else I will fail the course. We had to bed down on the floor for the night. I bedded out some houseplants. I bedded the plants out when the weather warmed up. The company beefed up its case. Does this disc belong with those on the shelf? They belted out the national anthem before the game. She told the students to belt up because they were making so much noise. I told the kids to belt up before I started the car, buckle up. The music was blaring out and I couldn't get to sleep. The space shuttle blasted off on schedule yesterday. I bent down to pick it up off the floor. I bent over to do my shoes up. I bent over backwards for them and they didn't even thank me. He bigs himself up all the time. They work out a lot to big themselves up. I bitched up. The interview means spoil or ruin, ballsed up, botched up, cock everything up, goofed up, messed up, stuffed the exam up. The email addresses were blanked out in the documents shown to the court. I was so nervous in the interview that I just blanked out and couldn't answer. I couldn't drive here this morning because someone had blocked me in. The police blocked off the road after the murder, obstruct. The trees block the sun out most of the day. It was so unpleasant that I try to block it out. The pipes blocked up and no water gets through. They bled out their calves. I blissed out on the beach all week. He grabbed a gun and blew the police officer away. Their new product has blown all the others away. Her first novel blew me away. The flag blew away in the storm, we'll have to buy a new one. A tree was blown down in the storm. He blew in from Toronto early this morning. We were going to meet last night, but she blew me off at the last minute. I blew the homework off and did badly. He blew off in front of everybody. She blew the candles out on her birthday cake. Real Madrid blew out the Barcelona 55-0. The scandal blew over within a fortnight when the press found someone else to attack. The bomb blew up without any warning. The pressure was low, so I blew the tire up. Blow up that photos so we can see his face. A storm blew up while we were out walking. They blew up when they heard what I had done wrong. The end. Coming next. Session 02.